And we should all be doing activities with our youth that help support keeping them safe. That's one of the things I think is so important. Go ahead, Asha.
All right. Good evening. This is the April 2023 meeting. The meeting's called to order at 6:30 p.m. So Khalid, if you could do the roll. Oh, the rules. No one may speak until granted the floor. CB11 members, if you have a question about board business or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand through Zoom. If you click the participants icon, there should be the raise hand function. If you have technical difficulties, you can use the chat icon and relay your difficulty to the staff. Now I think it's the roll. I forget the order half the time. Oh, no, never mind. Okay. The chat shall only be used for CB11 business or questions about agenda topics. All such remarks should be made on the record by raising your hand through Zoom. Chat shall only be used to alert us of any technical difficulties you're having or to state in writing information that was already stated out loud on the record. Please keep your questions and comments succinct and germane to the discussion. Members of the public, if you have a question or comment about the subjects on the agenda, please raise your hands through Zoom and wait to be recognized. All right, now is the roll. All right, Khalid, could you call the roll, please?
Will do. Give me 1 second. Okay, members, there are 10 committee members on the Youth and Education Committee, so we need a total of 6 members present in order to make quorum, okay? Rosa Diaz.
Present.
Thank you. Angela Donadell.
I am here.
Thank you. David Giordano.
Yeah.
Yep. John Green. Sage Mason.
Present.
Thank you. Claudia Perez.
Present.
Thank you. Asher Rodriguez.
Present.
Thank you. Isaac Scott.
Present.
Thank you. Russell Schuler.
Present.
Jason Wu.
Present.
Thank you. You have quorum. Moon's present. Save for John Green, excuse me.
All right. I'm gonna wait a second for the slides to come back up because I can't have my email open or my computer's gonna crash. All right. So first we have one announcement. Oh wait. The adoption, if it's basically, sorry, I forget how this part. If no one has any objections to the agenda tonight, like raise your hand if you do. The same. Okay. See no hands, I'm going to continue. The March 2020.
John Green sorry to interrupt, Ash. John Green posted in the chat that he is here, but he's I think registered as a guest.
Thank you. Okay, I'm seeing it. Thank you. I'm going to promote him to panelist right now. John Green, we're going to have to confirm your email because I make you panelist, but I guess we're going to have to figure that out.
Yeah. All right. If no one has any objections to the March 2023 minutes, we could continue. And just, I'm not seeing any hands, so. I
Okay.
guess we could.
Yes.
All right, one announcement. Mount Sinai's Department of Health Education will be offering a public health and racial justice program on site in New York City through a partnership with the city's Summer Youth Employment Program. Over the course of 6 weeks, girls of color ages 16 to 18 will learn about the expansive field of public health through a racial justice lens, while building skills around critical analysis, civil engagement, creative expression, and emotional processing. Angela?
To you is there a flyer and can it be shared?
I have a flyer and I'll see about how we could get that out there. I can share it with you if you want it.
And is there like an enrollment period? Or do they have to sign up with Summer Youth and then tell them they want to be part of this particular dynamic? Because I'm assuming that will be their employment for the summer.
I'm pretty sure if they're applying for Summer Youth, from what I understand, they select Mount Sinai, and this is the program that they're offering for Mount.
Okay,
David could correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, what we need to do is identify which agents, so SYEP is still available to the 14th, I think.
yes,
With that, you apply for different agencies. What we would need to find out very quickly is what agency has the agreement to do this with Mount Sinai. It would be like Children's Aid or Scan Harbor or Union
Right.
Settlement that
So-
all run SYEP programs.
Also, the application was changed slightly this year, so I'm not sure if that will, because I remember when I was filling it out, it was slightly different than it was before. Like now it's 3 options and you might not get your first pick or you might not get any of them. But I don't know how that would like affect it, because I see like for example, Children's Aid, there's like 4 Children's Aids, I think, for Manhattan on there. Like it's not, and it doesn't even say a specific site. It all has the same address. So,
Yeah, because they all cover different areas. In fact, I always tell my kids to apply for Staten Island because there's a lot less kids apply. So you have a greater chance of getting selected in the lottery. And then we just switch their placement to with us, at Lexington. But, we'll look and find out some of that information and send an email out back to the committee to clarify that. But
thank you.
those are good questions, Angela.
Well, I can't share it if I don't know what to tell people.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
sometimes they may have their own agreement with SYEP too, that, so we should reach out, maybe reach out to Brad and get
Yeah.
some clarification.
all right.
Good.
Next slide, please, Khalid. All right, so informational update. Oh, Xavier. Xavier. Is he able to unmute?
Sorry, yes, I'm able to unmute. Sorry, thank you, David. Technically in South Carolina, so a stone's throw further. Wanted to, quick announcement, and Museum of City of New York is hosting a Movies for Minnie this Thursday, starting at 11 a.m., which is free for those that live in the neighborhood of I'm Your Neighbor program. It's co-sponsored by the International Puerto Rican Heritage Film Festival. It's a great 2 blocks for children's films, and they go from the accessible 7 to, I think it's like 9, 10, and then from there from 10 to 14. And they're going to repeat the blocks twice, but just want to let you know that as part of the programming here in the neighborhood, something free for our community, and especially since all the kids are off for your spring break, please spread the word. I'll pop the information in the chat, and have a good rest of the meeting. Thank you.
All right. Thank
Hey,
you.
actually, I just
I
want to
see.
also, at Museum de Barrio on this Saturday, they're having Sabado Family event in which ACS is sponsoring an artist to come and do activities with kids, and also will have resources around keeping children safe, again, in highlight of April as Child Abuse Prevention Month. So Kim Kaban will be the artist that will be working with youth or families that show up and doing art workshops. And that the time of that will be this Saturday from 12 to 2 at the museum.
Okay, thank you, David. If you could like put that in the chat also, just so that way keep notes of everything that's going on. So if there's no further comments or questions, oh, Angela.
So I pulled up what Xavier said. On this paper, it says that you still have to pay. It says something about pre-registration is recommended and is included with museum admission. So is it free, or do people have to make a recommend, like, even if they only have to give $1, just a donation? So which is it?
Hi, Angela. Thank you. Great question. And that is for those who are registering and are not part of the I'm Your Neighbor program, which are including our catchment area. So again, I'll double check with Delissa, but it is for those who are coming as part of I'm Your Neighbor. It is a free admission, and this is just their standard form that you would see. But I'll ask Jalissa over at MCNY to clarify that. And yeah, so again, just relaying the information, but if they show up, they should be able to be admitted. They just show their city ID or state ID
That
or
shows that they
some
live in the community.
correct with the zip
Okay.
codes 10035, 10029. So yeah, so that's it. So it's one of the standard forms because most of they're visiting, and this is a little side note for all of us here, and something that I'll share with Marissa over at EcoDev and Culture. This is part of this. This is free for those in the community. They'd like to see those numbers of participants go up. That's something they've expressed because it's a resource here for the community as well, not just for those that are coming into the community.
May I ask a question though? How are they actually engaging in the community that they don't get people to come? Who is doing it? Because
I don't know. That's a great question. Angela, I'd be pleased to ask Jerry or Jalissa to come before a full board meeting perhaps, or even EcoDev and Culture where this would sit very plainly. And again, this is just a comment that was shared with me. So again, part of that outreach is us sharing the good word. So yeah, I'll reach out to them and find out.
as I understand, you said development and culture, and I understand why that should be part of their dynamic, but it also should be a part of our dynamic in education. They should be coming to us to talk to us as well. Maybe we can get a solution.
More than pleased, yeah, more than pleased to set up those comm lines and make sure they come before you. That's what we're having this conversation now. So thank you. I love the idea. So we'll reach out to Jalissa and Gary. And again, coming out of COVID, they want to reinitiate and deepen ties. So again, this is the first of many steps. Thank you, Angela.
No, but I'll just add on that as well, because the event the next day doesn't say whether it's free or not equal, so again, if we want people to come from the community, we should be clear if there is a cost, because the worst thing is that people show up and maybe not prepared to be able to pay a course and then be turned away. We wouldn't want that. No. Thank you. Asher?
Okay, so if there's no further comments or questions, we're gonna start with DOE.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone. Happy Tuesday. It's always an honor and a pleasure to be in community with you. Just some updates since we talked last time. Special thanks to everyone for your contributions and support in our grand opening of our D4 Community Boutique that's located in the 007 campus. Please know that, because a lot of people ask, how do we get families here? Well, they need to be students who are enrolled in our New York City public schools, and they should leverage their parent coordinator to schedule the appointment for the boutique. What the boutique is for, and it's for all of our families in need, is an opportunity for them to shop. Shop for clothing, toiletries, things that they need. And it's really a huge collective effort of everyone. Rosa, David, our president's council. I can't, like I say, when I share this, it is something that brings me complete joy because it really shows what we can do when we work together. Right now, we're not taking any donations because, believe it or not, we still have not unpacked the sorting of, so we want the boutique to look like a boutique, like a store, and it takes us a lot longer than what you might think to organize and sort clothing. We're leveraging our student council in 007. We'll probably have to have another volunteer day and leverage our community, but we still haven't cleaned out room 422, and we also have another room on the 3rd floor that is full of supplies. But I do want you to know that if you have any, if you run across any families, please encourage them to reach out to their parent coordinator. The other thing I wanted to just highlight, we had a family math tournament with Bullseye. It's a game. 83's parents actually won. Again, our CEC East Community, East Harlem Community Partnership. It was at the Boys Club. It was a wonderful event. And it was great to see our families out and about. The other thing I wanted to share was what brings me always joy is our D4 student advisory. So we met with our D4 student advisory on March 27th. That was a Monday, asking them about like what is working and what their needs were. And we did a follow-up conversation on like a panel on April 4th with the D4 student advisory to let them hear firsthand some of our next steps. So to summarize what our students really shared, their biggest areas of concern, and this is what I think really what you guys want to hear too, as far as youth and education, food, cafeteria food. A lot of our students do not like either the choices from the menu management to the quality, which varies from school to school and to cafeterias. So in the follow-up, we had Khadija Malahati and the regional director, Dr. Stephanie Bannister, actually hearing from the students. They're going to follow up by doing site visits. We also had additional schools that want halal food. So that was another request that was made. And then we also have cafeteria enhancement projects, which have like open salad bars. But our students had a great opportunity to hear firsthand about that. So one thing is food. The second thing was the cleanliness of their bathrooms. A lot of students, whether it was lack of toilet paper, the cleanliness, and then we had one student, and Rosa heard some of the comments. She was there, Rosa Diaz, but well, some of them were like, I'll be honest, it's not our custodians, it's us. Like, we need to do a better job of being cleaner. And so, so some kids said that, but then there were concerns about just the cleanliness. Some students talked about the AC in their public spaces. But Deputy of School Facilities, Mr. Michael Siciliano, was there to hear those questions. Then, and concerns. Another thing that came up around safety, and it's always interesting to hear from our youth. Some students about anti-bullying within their schools. Some students feel really safe with the youth community officers. And so hearing from them, and then our borough safety director was there as well, just to be able to express, to hear their voices and to think about next steps. And we also had our supervisor of social work. Something that came up in both of the sessions with elementary and secondary was the need for more mental health support. A lot of our young people have expressed that they're experiencing a lot of anxiety and or pressure, like at all levels. Some students are just like, we're having a hard time focusing, or we don't just want our guidance counselors or advisor. We want everyone to know that like we need more support. And that came from a lot of different students. It wasn't just one, but just the need to have more mental health support. Those were some of the big buckets. And then last but not least, I think everyone should know, and we're prepped and ready. Summer Rising, the Summer Rising portal opens up on Monday. The great news is there's been some shifts. So it's no longer first come, first serve. So that is a really great thing for us. And so what that means is that we can prioritize students who need to be in summer school and prioritize the students with the greatest needs. Our newest New Yorkers, our students that really need to be in summer school, we can help support them. Now, if a family is struggling to support or to fill out the application, our parent coordinators are ready. They've already received training. A lot of our schools have even created internal entry forms to help families, but the parent coordinators are the ones that have to, they are the ones that can be the designee of a parent. So like if a parent is struggling to fill out, whether it's for technical reasons, language, or even just the literacy that's needed to fill out the application, have them reach out to their parent coordinator. If not, you can always reach out to me. We can connect, but we really want to make sure that all of our families that really need to be in Summer Rising are prioritized. And I think those are the main buckets. Please encourage, next week we have the English language arts test. So some of our schools, that's grades 3 through 8, they'll be preparing for that. We've also, in collaboration with the CEC, informed parents of their rights as far as the, of course, we have these assessments, but parents do have the right to opt out. And those are, personal choices and decisions. And last but not least, because I think this is great for you to hear, our new state designations. So previously we had 5 schools that were either targeted support improvement or comprehensive school and improvement, and all 5 schools are now in good standing, or the new name, which is local support improvement, which is a huge accomplishment to have the 5 schools no longer on that designation from the state. However, we were so close to being the only way you can be a district in good standing is to have 0 schools. And we had 1 new school that was put on the list, which was Mosaic 375, which I know Xavier has already visited the school, and I know Rose has been there. And we have a new leader. They're showing great gains. And not that they needed a new leader, but the previous leader there was inconsistencies for a variety of reasons due to health and so forth. And so I really think that, I know that we are on the right path to supporting the school, and the 375 is becoming a community school. We've partnered them with Link to get them additional resources. And so we already have a support plan collectively. So, and I will let Rosa be able to share all the other great things that are going on in the CEC. A lot of our work, and David as well, and Ash and Xavier, our work is so intertwined that I feel like sometimes even by speaking, it's like hard to distinguish what is us, New York City, because we do things together. So really, really proud of the work that we're doing together. So thank you. I don't know how David or Ash, how, I don't know what the time frame is, but I can put my email in the chat. I'm always here to support. And I always say that the only way we can address concerns and to do better is if we surface things and be problem solvers together. So really grateful to serve the East Harlem community with you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Christie. I see David has his hand up, so David.
First, thank you, Dr. Christie. And as you always says, it takes community. And I think we're growing our community and strengthening it. That's what we're going to talk about, also about how we strengthen our community in other ways with the presentation. But I just wanted to add just a few things with the Summer Rising. And we're learning, because every year it changes a little, so we always got to adjust. But there are some priorities that DYCD and children with 12-month IEPs, kids that are in students that are in transitional living, who may be living in shelters or not stable housing, kids that are currently in program that attend the school, but also they realize they have to expand it because schools collapse together. CBOs also can help with the registration. Our goal is to have tablets when parents come to pick up children in after school and in the morning when they're dropping off at school, and providing support both through the CBO and the parent coordinator. That was a real great piece, I think, that was added, where the parent coordinator has the ability to register the children. And for me, with disclosure, the parent coordinator at 72 is my middle school coordinator. So it works out really great. But again, I just want to make sure everybody know there are priorities that the city has set for DOE. And again, we do want to honor those, and we want to make sure that we have the proper people in place to deal with children that may have other kinds of challenges.
Yep. And I will say, thank you, David, that just reminded me, in order, and this is important for everyone to know because I know it's always comes up, in order for a student to be guaranteed busing by the July 5th date, we have to enter their information into the system by May 19th. So it is going to be, a very quick turnaround, and that's why we really want to prioritize our families. But if we enroll someone in the busing after May 19th, it means that they might not be guaranteed a bus on that July 5th, that first day. So I just want to lift that. That's a deadline that we've been given, so that in order to ensure busing.
That's so important, because on my end and the DYCD end, I don't think we know that, or, maybe above, because what's going to happen is you're going to have 3 choices to put down for what program, CBO,
Mhm.
and school you want to be with, because you may not get in.
Yep.
And that makes, so they're going to collect all this information over the next few weeks, and then they'll tell parents, we received your application and accepted it, but not necessarily assign you yet. So that's going to be confusing.
Well, I will say that because busing is really only a certain groups of students, we really know those students well, and we're going to prioritize them. So
Right,
leveraging our
50%.
schools
Right.
and, like you said, the priorities, that's where we need to both prioritize the students who have priority, and out of those students who have busing first, right? Which we the good thing is, and this is what there's always an opportunity to strengthen and improve, but we do know our children and families well. And when we have staff who know our students and families well, and so most of our students who receive busing have it for a particular reason, and we'll be able to prioritize them. That's the that's the goal. I mean, there might be some gaps, like you said, between the preference and the choices, but I'm hoping and very optimistic that because a lot of our school leaders are already ahead of the game, like we already kind of know which students we really want. What I mean want is that we need to prioritize. So for example, and I'll be completely transparent, we have over 800 plus newest New Yorkers. And our newest New Yorkers, a lot of them live in the Row Hotel. And I rather all of those students have an opportunity to enjoy enriching activities than to be
Absolutely.
than to be in a small space day in, where they can have an opportunity to learn, be with friends, and have hopefully ideally a wonderful summer experience, with field trips, excursions, and fun. And we're also going to have, for the first, this is hot off the press, David, we haven't even told all the CBOs this, but we're going to have we received a special grant where we're going to be able to have a summer rising STEAM expo for science, technology, engineering, the arts, and mathematics as like a culminating event in the district. Just so that we have 7. Some people get confused. Well, 112 and 206 are on the same campus, but they have 2 different DBNs. But we're going to have 7 summer rising sites. Those are the 007 campus, 146, CPE2, which is in the old 50 building, 155, which houses, there's schools affiliated with all of the sites, 112 and 206, which has our dual language NEST program, 72, which David mentioned, Lexington Academy, and then one of our biggest sites is the Tito Puente campus, which offers K through 12 summer rising. Across the street, 117, it's on 109th Street, the 117 building to the Tito Puente campus, with Esperanza, 83, BBMS, and TAG, and Mosaic are all using that site. So thank you. Sorry, that was kind of
We'll be
long.
summarizing it.
My
Can't wait.
Sorry, I have a question about the busing, because some people don't know if their kids are going to have to go to summer rising until like the end of the year. How is that going to work for
Everybody should know. So thank you, Ash, for bringing that up. For summer, so I've already started all of these conversations from Promotion and Doubt. We know, so families who have a child who's a 12-month IEP, those students have year-round services. So that busing, they will know. For the other ones, and that's why we have the upcoming May conferences, but we as a district don't think anything should really be a surprise, right? So Promotion and Doubt letters, we've already started having conversations with children and their families. What is the support plan? And trying to really get, I just don't believe that things should be at a last minute. Like, you should know at this point, and this is me speaking as a parent as well as a superintendent, whether your child is, first, they should have been identified as Promotion and Doubt. There should have been ongoing conversations and dialogue and support about this. Now, our students, our newest New Yorkers, we were at the shed. We started, like, we want it to be an enriching thing. We also want to change the narrative where summarizing isn't a punishment, that summarizing, we are going to have multilingual programs. Some of our earliest are young people in kindergarten and first and second grade. They need to have parent approval and consent. So that's where it should have already been an ongoing conversation that they need additional support. And we actually have some families who reach out to us and say, we want our child in summarizing, right? So great question about the busing and so forth. But most of those families, they should know. And if not, that's what we're going to really be focusing on, is prioritizing so that it isn't a surprise, because it'll eventually all come back to me anyway. So when the busing doesn't work out, I will get a lot of complaints about the busing. So we will be leveraging our parent coordinators, our school leaders. It's really like an all hands on deck. Also, I have to say, since I've been superintendent in July of 2020, I have not had a single parent appeal for promotional decisions, which is really a testament to the communication that's going on with families, and or how we're able to resolve things to where we can have that ongoing dialogue. Because at the end of the day, we want our young people to be successful, and we want them to have joy in learning. And there's different ways to learn besides the traditional way. So, but thank you. That was a great question. But I'm really, really laser focused with the busing, because we hear busing concerns, and we've had, even just so that everyone knows, when we have some schools where we have a lot of questions about busing, we've even brought in the people from busing to hear the concerns. But we've really, on our team, Azine Karamati, our supervisor of social work, Lenise Patino, our family support coordinator, they're two people on the team who also help bridge and make sure there are some of our points to help the transportation coordinators. Every school should have a person designated who is your transportation coordinator. So, like, we're already ordering Metro cards for the fall, Metro cards for the summer. All of these things we're trying to make sure that we have to avoid, so that we can have a smooth start.
That's interesting about the Metro cards, because that was a big issue for many parents who had to travel far to bring kids last summer.
Yep.
I mean, the school
And I
worked
would
it out.
also encourage people, if they can't make it, because sometimes, and I say this because sometimes I would never wait until they're all out. That's just me. I would never wait until all the cards are out. Like, say that you need a surf, people have to advocate, and they have to also let us know. One thing that I find that sometimes people do reach out, but then things get lost in email. So a lot of it is also follow-up, or including their principal, myself on the email, so that we can escalate it, right? But if I don't know about it, then I can't address it. And so we are trying to do better, why people, instead of just waiting and waiting, let us know so we can escalate, because I just don't want people waiting and then not having anything. Because we should be able, And I know personally that even as Zine, myself, if I have to go down and pick up Metro cards, I will. Like if nobody at the school is able to go down, we'll work it out to where we can make sure that everyone has Metro cards.
All right, thank you. Does anyone else have any questions for Dr. Christie? All right, seeing no hands, Rosa, your turn.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm a little under the weather. Sorry about that. And I'm like dying with allergies and God knows what else. But I cannot say anything better than what Dr. Christie just said. And we've been in many, 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 many spaces advocating for our children in District 4. Just wanted to remind everyone of our meeting, April 19th. We're having a special guest. She's going to speak about, financial wealth and financial literacy and all that. And we also have a special guest. I cannot disclose the name or anything like that. On Thursday, this Thursday, we partnered with East Harlem Community Partnership, and we are having a Together in One Voice for Children event at Sendero Verde. And we're going to be tabling and giving a lot of swag. We also partnered with another organization called Combo from the University of Columbia Mental Health. So I do not remember the name, but I will be sending the information again because I already sent it out. And that's on April 23rd on a Sunday. We'll be tabling also providing all families with information about District 4, about all our schools, and what is CEC. Because a lot of people still do not know what is a CEC, even though I'm in every single space explaining what are we doing. How can we support? Like we work together in the district. Like Christy said, if she doesn't know of any concern, any question, any complaint, then no one knows. Like CC us, let us know. We will elevate it, obviously, like right away. There's also another event on oh no, I already said the 3 events that there is. Please, we're having the April 19 in person and hybrid for the individuals that they cannot come. It's there's gonna be a Zoom video conferencing. The email was sent out already yesterday, but again, I will send it in again just in case if might have fallen through all the tons of emails that you guys might have. So that's my little report because I've been a little bit sick. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Sorry, Rosa, we've all been sick this week, or at least me. So does anyone have any questions for CEC4? All right. Is anyone from okay, did someone? Sorry, I was making sure it wasn't someone with a question. Anyone from CEC5 here? Maybe in the participants? All right, I'm not seeing Miss Williams, so I'm gonna go to District Attorney's office. So Imani?
Hi, good evening, everyone. I won't take up too much time, but it's good to see you all again. So I just wanted to let everyone know that there will be a candlelight vigil on April 23rd for survivors of crimes and their families. It is going to be a part of the National Crime Victims' Rights Week, and our office is partnering with a couple of other district attorneys' offices, as well as a few other organizations and the Attorney General's office, just to make sure that survivors of crimes feel supported and know that they are not alone in the community. So I will share the flyers via email. I'm having a hard time uploading them into the chat, but it is a free event, and I hope everyone can spread the word and we can come out and support some of our survivors out here. So thank you all.
I'm so sorry. Anyone here from Youth Construct? Or is that's an old thing, David, right? We were supposed to take that off?
Yeah, we should, Khalid, if we could
They haven't come
eliminate
back
that, I
in like
think that
months.
was more for that moment in time. If they
Will
ever
do. I'll
come
update it
back.
for next month.
Isaac Scott.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Imani if she could leave her information in the chat.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right. Gonna ask for CEC 5 one more time. See if anyone's here. I am not seeing anyone in the participants or in the panelists, so I guess we could continue.
I'm sorry, and there was no one for the district attorney's office, right? Okay.
No, Imani just spoke.
Oh, I'm sorry, Monty. I missed that. My apologies. Okay, we're moving on.
Was the presentation we had for this month taken off?
That's correct. The Chris Cirillo gentleman had not confirmed his attendance for any of the committees to discuss the program, so it was taken off, and then so we can move forward to old business item.
All right, so we have to finalize our committee position on graphics, youth gun violence, the request for support dash partnership. So I'm gonna open the floor to a discussion. So if you raise your hand. Or David, you said you wanted John.
Yeah, I think Dr. Smith should just give a quick, again, overview, not, we don't have to get all in depth again, but again, there may be people on that weren't on last month and just want to understand what we are going to take a position and vote on. Dr. Smith, if you could please just present, your program, and then we'll get into the nitty gritty and we'll move forward. Thank you.
Oh, you were talking to me?
I was saying, why don't you just take a minute to, a few minutes to just, summarize your program. There may be some members that weren't here last month. And again, we want to make sure that the public is aware of what we're voting on and what we're supporting or willing to support. Thank you.
Okay. So I'm Kai Smith. I am the founding executive director of a program called Graphics. It's a 501c3. The acronym stands for Gang Diversion, Reentry, and Absent Fathers Intervention and Clinical Services. We specialize in behavior modification for severely behaviorally challenged children in middle schools and high schools. The primary focus is to partner with the school and empower the school to identify their 25 most severely behaviorally challenged students. We extract them from their traditional classroom environment. We put them into a cohort of their own. We take the teacher's lesson plan and we gel the teacher's lesson plan with our lesson plan, create a new lesson plan, and present that lesson plan to those students in that cohort classroom environment. When students successfully complete the program, they can receive in between 1 and 2 credits toward being promoted to the following grade or graduation. We currently service schools. We currently service in New York State from Niagara Falls down all the way down here to the city and a few other states. And our requests, we were requesting a customized letter of support that would give us that would empower us to go after funding that the city of New York, the Department of Education in the city of New York can't, are unable to provide. So we were seeking a letter of support in that capacity.
All right. So I understand, David, correct me if I'm wrong, you wanted Xavier and John to talk about the event they went to.
Well, I think in summary, we wanted to, as some issues were raised during the committee, we wanted to take a month, take the time to review the work of graphics. And we were invited on March 23rd, I believe it was. Xavier and John Green both attended a presentation by Dr. Smith. And I think it's important to hear from them, their feedback. and then we'll get into questions and those kinds of things. Again, Dr. Kai, thank you for your, Dr. Smith, thank you for your patience with our process. Again, we just want to make sure everybody's making a healthy choice and decision and voting in, what they think is best for our community. So thank you. Why don't we let Xavier go first, just because he's in South Carolina with family. And
Angela, after Xavier and John present, I'll come to you.
Hey, Asher, thank you. David, thank you. I'd like to hear from John first. He and I both attended, and I'd like to hear from the committee member who's in attendance. I was there. I want to make sure that voice can be heard. So please, and then I can wait a little bit of time for that. Thank you.
All right, John.
Okay, thank you, Asher. Good evening, everybody. I attended the event last month. I was really impressed. What Dr. Smith explained to the young ladies and gentlemen, that try to dissuade them from violence and crime, and said that to be able to get an education and be able to have your own business. And I personally think that it was well done. I personally think that we should give a letter of support. I was truly impressed, and I truly hope that those young ladies and gentlemen will listen to Dr. Smith and enter his program.
Thank you, Mr. Green. I appreciate that.
All right. Yeah, I appreciate that, John, because it's important to see stuff for ourselves. Like, we could see a presentation and make opinions without actually seeing what's going on. So I appreciate you going to that. Xavier?
Thank you, John, and I appreciate you being there. I think it's important as a commentator for all of our committee members to attend, not just this committee at all, whenever the opportunity presents itself to evaluate. Dr. Smith, I appreciate you taking the time to chat briefly after, and I look forward to a continued conversation. I often ask myself a singular question of how do we reach these kids, because myself personally, the way you spoke, there was a come to Jesus moment in my life, and the way you spoke was for these times that resonated very deeply, and I think that there's a passion there and wanting to make to prevention, and how do we make a difference? I think it is, and ruminating on it for some time, you codified it in a way of not just answering how do we reach these kids, but how do they embrace destiny, but realize where they are in this moment and the trajectory they're on. You put it into no uncertain terms, which I value, not just from an economic point of view, but also from life. And I think that's important for that reality check. Again, I appreciate you taking the time, and I look forward to seeing a further success of a program, because those on the further end of the margins, I want to try to help as many people as possible in my life, this limited time we have on this planet. And I value that was the message you were trying to send. And I look forward to seeing the successes to come, and how we can make a difference. But I appreciate you being out there and being straight. I look forward to seeing the fruits of your labor. And you had, I have a question for you. You had 58 members of your team, correct?
Give or take, yeah, about that.
Give or take. Okay. And one of the things that struck me, and correct me if I'm wrong, if misremembering, that once you're in, you've got them for life, right? Did I hear that correctly in the room?
That's, so I just did a speaking engagement the other day, and I said, it's a totally different thing when you say to a child, I love you, and I don't even know your name. You're not going to prison, and you're not going to die on my watch, and then following through with it. right? Because we often in the heat of passion, and we learn buzzwords, right? Like I have a line of T-shirts coming out, and I hope that you guys support it when we release the store on the website. And one of the T-shirts, it says "Unhustle Kids," right? Just 2 words, "Unhustle Kids." In the 80s, as I said before, when foster care was the thing, everybody wanted to get a foster care child because we've discovered that it was a check directly associated to the foster care kids. And when you got a foster care kid that had HIV, it was even a bigger check, and so that became the new hustle, right? In the 80s and the 90s, that was the hustle. Everybody wanted a foster care child. And that's why the foster care the system is full of holes right now today, because it was never repaired. And in today's rendition of the foster care hustle is gun violence, with this credible messenger foolishness. Everyone is a credible messenger simply because you did time in jail and you came home. And right. And so, we need to unhustle kids. Right. And so, to answer that question, like, yeah, when you are with us, when you look into my eyes or my staff members' eyes, we can see when the light bulb goes off. And when you buy into the program, you're with us for life. And I think you heard me say, you can't bully me out of your life. You can't scare me out of your life. There's nothing you can do to get me out of your life, because once I'm there, you've made the decision to put me there, right? I know where all the trap houses are, and my staff know where the trap houses are. So if you're in there, we coming to get you out of there, right? And so, and it's one thing to say that and then follow through on it. And if you go to our website and you look at my staff, if you scroll all the way to the bottom of the page, you'll see that in senior management, there is a graduate of graphics from each year since 2006 that's been hired as a staff member. So yeah, once you're with us for life.
Yeah, I think, and that stuck with me because someone who helped me in my life said, it's a see, don't listen world. It's a see, don't listen. Not as eloquent as the way you put it, but that got through to me, and you see the proof. So, but I appreciate you being real and sharing those moments, and I welcome us into the space to see. So with that, John, thank you for being there. And I encourage more of our members of this committee and others to attend, all of our presenters. And I wish you much success.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, thank you, Xavier and John again. And thank you, Dr. Kai. So I'm going to turn to Angela because she has been patiently there with her hand up. So, Angela?
Thank you for the opportunity. So I have a couple of questions. First, do you engage the parents at the schools about the option of their children? Because you're asking the school to identify what you said, the 25 most problematic children, to then send them to you, right? So are parents involved in that process?
So Ms. Donadell, I will be more than happy to answer any questions that you have from a very humble perspective, because that's who I am. But once I give the opportunity for people to come and see the program in action and ask questions and ask the parents that are in the room, because parents were in the room, and ask other community advocates and ask individuals from the New York City Department of Education and other programs, once I transparently open it up, and I use, as again, I said, my superpowers in the beginning was honesty, humility, and transparency. And once I put it on the line like that, immediately following that, when individuals come to try to poke holes in it, it's hole proof, right? So yes, I do, when I go into the school, to answer your question, and I will answer any question that you have. We don't get very deeply involved with the operational mechanics of the New York City Department of Education. The key word in what I said was we empower the school to identify their most severely behaviorally challenged students. That's outside of the scope of our control. We don't go into a school to say, this child or this child or this child. We don't, that's so, you know, it's up to the principal, it's up to the principal's administration to follow the chancellor's regulations. We're there to provide a service like any other vendor. So,
So
you know,
again,
it's,
you're going into the school, the children are being identified by the administration of the school.
mhm.
When do the parents become involved?
You
Because
would have to ask, ma'am,
meeting,
that's a question, you have a superintendent on your board. That's a question, see, again, what I don't do, I stick to my genius. My
you-
genius, Miss Donadale,
yeah,
according
whatever.
to the
Go ahead.
chancellor's regulations, according to the chancellor's regulations, and according to the canons that govern vendors, it is not my responsibility to seek permissions outside of the school once I partner with the school, because the school is the governing agency. So that's a
Exactly,
question
but you
for
are
you to
planning
ask
on
the school.
diverting their children to a different curriculum. You said that. You said you build the curriculum in coordination with the actual curriculum. So that means the parents have to be made aware. So you're saying the school does that. So what if the 25 children's parents say no? Then you just leave?
Again, that is a challenge. That is a question that you would have for the administrators of the school.
Okay. And if there are more than 25 children, then what happens?
We create a new cohort. See, the
In the
challenge,
same school.
the challenge with that is this, right? You know, going back to Miss Rose's question from last month, or from her comment, right? And I definitely wanted to put my fingerprint circle back to speak about that. You know, last month, we did this back and forth about the word target. And I didn't have a challenge with going back and forth about the word target. And I stand on it, and I stand on it today. And do you know why I stand on target,
I
Ms.
have
Donadale?
no idea.
I stand on target because at that very school, 2 weeks before I did the presentation, 2 students were shot right across the street. One student, it was his first day of school, and he was shot on his first day of school by another student that targeted him. And the target came from the prior school that he was at, and a prior borough where he was targeted to be assaulted, and he got assaulted at the new school in the new borough. So that's why I target children. 2 weeks before my presentation, right smack dab in front of the school. So that's why I target just children. So Ms. Donadale, I don't go outside of the scope of my wheelhouse. I don't go outside of the scope of my expertise. It's my responsibility to make sure that my curriculum is in compliance with Common Core, with PIBIS, with Next Generation Learning, and all of the other educational syllabuses that each chancellor has said that they wanted the New York City Department of Education to be gelled with. That's my responsibility. So when I go into a school, I'm still speaking. When I go into a school, the governing body in the school is responsible for the school and the vendor. So I adhere to whatever instructions are passed down to me when we partner with a school.
So again, I'm going to ask about the curriculum. How do you interject your curriculum into the Common Core?
That's proprietary information. I'm not going to give you the mechanics.
And you're telling us about, you call trusted messengers garbage, but technically, aren't you one of them as well?
I am not.
You came through the same system. You were what you were, and now you're doing what you're doing, which is how they determine what is a trusted messenger, or whatever you want to, whatever the terminology is.
Ms. Donadale, I find it very interesting. I'm going to ask you this question. Can you give me the definition of what New York City calls a credible messenger?
A credible messenger is usually somebody that's relatable to the individuals that they are working with.
And what's the criteria for an individual?
I have no idea. For this, okay. You're talking about former incarcerated, keeping children from being shot. and being incarcerated. I do
So
not
don't you think,
understand how that dynamic floats in the public school system, but that's my opinion. I digress. Sage, you can move on. Bye.
Yeah, excuse me, yeah. If we could just take a moment and maybe like back away for a second. Sage, do you have something to say?
Yeah, I was wondering what kind of doctor are you, Dr. Kai?
I am in the process of pursuing a PhD in public health and a JD in corporate health law. I have 2 bachelor's degrees, 2 master's degrees, a national certification in human resources, and I am currently in school pursuing this degree.
Okay, so you don't have a doctorate yet, right?
Not in my hand, no.
Okay. I think it's a little misleading to call yourself Dr. Smith when you don't have a doctorate.
Is that really what you got for me?
Yeah, it is. I think it's misleading. I think you've been doing it for a long time.
Okay.
And I don't think it's necessary. I think,
Okay.
there are lots of experts that have these doctorate degrees, including.
How about you ask me why I call myself Dr. or how I got the name Dr. Kai, as opposed to firing shots at the fact that I call myself, or I've been given the title of Dr. Kai. Why don't you ask me how it came about?
Okay, why do you call yourself?
I call myself Dr. Kai because that was a title bestowed upon me in my program. One of the prerequisites of my program is speaking things into existence. When children come to my program and they sit in my program, one of the first things that I do is I buy a professional nameplate. And I have every child write on that nameplate their first name, their last name, and the CEO of whatever company that they feel that they want to be the owner of. And so when they do that, as they sit in the classroom and they raise their hand, they are to introduce themselves as, my name is Sage Mason. I am the CEO of such and such and such, because when you speak it into life, when you speak it into existence, it becomes life. After maybe 9 years of doing that, the graduating class at Brooklyn Collegiate High School asked me, so what are you speaking into your existence? And I said, the highest educational degree that's possible, a PhD. And I said what I wanted, and they in turn said to me, speak that into your existence. And what I did after that moment, they gave me the title, I spoke it into existence, and I then turned it into a goal.
Okay, I think it's a good goal. But I don't think Brooklyn Technical High School awards PhDs.
Did you?
I think it's a good tool to have as part of the program. But I think when it comes to separating the program and the curriculum, I think it's a great practice and it can inspire kids to achieve their goals. I think when it comes to coming back out into the professional world, it can be misleading if you don't have the expertise that goes behind it. And say
so, Mr.
that
Mason,
I did the.
Mr. Mason, can you tell me the criteria that colleges have to award individuals PhD of letters?
You have to write a dissertation.
You have to write a dissertation to get a PhD of letters?
Or is that like an honorary doctorate?
Yes, that's exactly what that is. So there's not a PhD, there's not a PhD of letters, there's not an honorary doctor in the United States of America that has more educational credentials than I do. Not one.
Okay.
I think that's an interesting statement. I don't think that's true.
Fact check it and come back.
So I'm gonna stop it here just for a second because we're going a little bit in circles here. I'm just gonna ask a question quickly, and then Rosa, you could go. My question is, because I know you said that you wouldn't be able to share lesson plans. I'm just asking if maybe we could get a example of a lesson plan.
No.
No? Okay. All right. Rosa.
Good evening. Even today, we were discussing with deputy chancellors, like all of them. I literally just had a meeting right now at 6 p.m. discussing the curriculum for the year coming up. And I didn't even see anything the DOE will be targeting any of our children's 32 districts, not just one, 32 districts, including special education children's. I didn't see anywhere that it says that they will be targeting children and sending them to a different vendor so Mr. Smith can train them into life or any. I do not really know what you do, Mrs. Smith, but I still don't have a full understanding. That's what I'm saying. So I don't understand where this targeting comes from. I will be having a conversation with the chancellor about this because I am, can I have the light on, please? Because I am intrigued now, like why would the Department of Education target our children instead of providing them the support that they need, the emotional, mental health support that they actually need? If my child is autistic, so in any teacher that do not know my child, they will feel and they will see that maybe she is a child with problems, right? So I'm thinking right now, as a mother, like someone is gonna target my child. You know, like my child has outbursts. My child has reacts to things and can harm someone without even wanting to. So for me, as a mom, not as an educator, I don't have an educator degree, so I do not call myself an educator. I would be very afraid. DOE asked me for everything, all my consent. DOE cannot do anything without my consent. So that's my two-piece comment. And am I allowed to do like a motion to reject the letter of support?
If you choose to do that, you could do that later on. There is still
Okay.
some comments that people want to be made.
See, here's
that
the thing.
I think-
May I respond to that? There's this thing,
Yes, you may.
and if anyone cares to look it up, Ms. Rosa, what you just did, you did something called the straw man fallacy, right? Straw man fallacy is exactly.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that word? Because
I said a straw man fallacy.
STRAW?
Go to YouTube and look it up, and they'll show you exactly what it is.
I said
Straw man fallacy.
You know what?
Angela,
I need everybody just to take a moment. That now, because we are discussing things and it is getting passionate and emotional, I'm going to ask that everybody raise hands so that they're identified before just interrupting. Okay? So now I'm going to assume the role of chair to ensure that we move this meeting along. We don't need to reiterate. You know, I wonder if Dr. Kai or Mr. Smith, however we want to identify or accept, and more so how he identifies himself in our world today, we have to be respectful and we cannot go back in circles and debate things back and forth. We take positions, we ask questions, and we get answers. Now, I'm going to just propose this. If we replace the word target and say identify youth in our schools that need the service that is being provided by graphics, would they be the same? Are we getting caught in semantics right now? Because you know what? As somebody that works, yes, we look at which kids may need a certain kind of service more than other kids. Sometimes we don't have the service to provide for all the kids that need, and there has to be decisions, those in most need. So if we would replace the word target, and I don't want to go back and forth in semantics, versus target or identified, are we really talking about something different? So I need us to be mindful. If people want to interject, they need to raise hand and be respectful as Asher is running the meeting. And I know people are very passionate about certain things.
I just, as I said, right, I came, you know, one of the things, and David, I thank you for that. And I also thank you for coming. So, and as I said initially, I came to ask for the support of CB11 because I'm born and raised in Washington Projects. And I said this last month, and I'll say it again with every humble fiber of my being. I do not need what I'm asking you for, because I've done it for the last 21 years independent of you. The reason why I came is to show respect, is to pay homage and atonement to my projects, and to say, okay, let me show you an example of something that you may have yet to see in the form of a community-based organization that spent a significant amount of time securing the outcomes and coming to you asking for support based on a 20-year record of outcomes, as opposed to creating a new program, having nothing, and then coming to ask you for support so that they can get something. That's a little different, right? And so, you know, I just find it very interesting that the 20-year focus of my program and the works that we've been doing around the country, can we have the conversation? Can you ask Chancellor David Banks, who knows me, can you ask Chancellor David Banks why no other gang diversion program in the city of New York has licensed clinicians on staff? Can you ask him that? Because we had that conversation in caucus and in Somos, right? So let's stick to the canons. Let's stick to the meat and potatoes. I don't go back and forth. You know, it's just very interesting that I get this from you, and I'm the guy with the 2-decade reputation of working with the children that have no problems shooting your children, that have no problems shooting up Washington projects. I work with those. I specifically go after those kids. So I just find it very interesting that I'm going back and forth about the word target. And as I said last month, if the NYPD was on this call and they said, and they have said, so when a situation arises and members of the community feel threatened and the community doesn't feel safe, we look to target the individuals that are the drivers of the violence, and we go after them. Nobody challenges the NYPD when they say they target the same exact children that I'm trying to prevent from being exposed to the NYPD.
Excuse me, David, if I may, can I make a couple of
We
comments?
should,
David, I just
let's
find
move
it
on to
interesting.
Russell. We haven't heard from Russell. I want to hear from Russell Schuler.
All right.
Russell, and then Ash, you go next.
All right.
Well, thank you for giving me a moment. We have roles as board members, committee members of the community board. I don't believe that it's our responsibility to pass judgment as this conversation is going on. This gentleman has come to our board, to our committee, to ask for a letter of support. He has demonstrated through his 26 years that he's been on the ground, impacting communities, impacting school systems, impacting individual schools in the various places that he said. He's also stated that he follows the lead of the institutions that he's working with. He's followed their guidelines. He has his own individual tactics. We live in a society where there are traditional programs and there are non-traditional programs. I didn't hear him violate any of the state laws of any place that he's gone to. David beat me to it about talking about semantics. For all those that have filed government contracts or proposals, I think one of their catchphrases is your target population in that. So we should be smart enough and understanding enough to see a service provider proposing to do what he does in a bigger way. In his first meeting with us, he asked for our support sometimes we get caught up. He has a strong personality. He has strong convictions. So that's why he has that confidence to talk that way. He probably is not mindful and not care less, not being offensive of what we feel and think, because he's proven what he's done. He's living proof, whether it's the technical term of credible messenger or how it's interpreted. Our job is to, in my opinion, is to see the service that an individual group come to our committee and our board to see the programs that they're going to provide and the young people or the population that they're going to serve and the benefit of that. Our own individual biases and prejudice, words that we choose to use, let's be smarter than that. Let's think above that. He said that he doesn't need what he's asking for, but he would like to have it. He says that there are organizations that can't provide what he's providing for many reasons. He said there are programs out there that don't provide what he provides for whatever reason. That's his idea. That's what he wants to do. He has a demonstrated track record working with institutions. He's just asking us for a letter of support to continue moving on. So personal insults for him to have to fend for himself in ways is not necessary. Let's just be kind and respectful. Let's put our egos away, put our minds and our hearts into a conversation civilly, see who's going to benefit from the programs. He has to be accepted by schools. Those administrations in the schools that he will be accepted will identify, select, volunteer their populations. Every school that we are working, we have a superintendent right here on our committee at this conversation. Nobody comes into the schools without coming through the superintendents, principals, who are directly in charge of their kids. And their kids are attached to parents. So for one to say, are you directly in contact with the parent might not be necessary because that's already been done. That box has been checked. Anybody that's contracted by the city, state, or federal government, all those boxes have been checked. For all those that have contract, the pets situation here in New York City Department of Education, everybody's got to be investigated, proven, fingerprinted. So he would have to go through that no matter who he has, himself included, if he wants to be directly involved with the presentation. We all had an opportunity on March the 23rd to go and witness this program. We have our chairman of Community Board 11 who was there. He already said what he saw. So the rest of us that haven't been there, unfortunately, I had another conflict in my schedule and I could walk to where he was. I could walk there, 10 minutes or less. But I couldn't make it there and I'm sad that I didn't. But we had to be more civil. We had to understand the power that was bestowed to us because we volunteered to be on Community Board 11 on this particular committee to hear the business that we have to do, unbiased, intelligently, about how we're going to benefit from anybody that comes to this table. And they're just asking, most people are asking us for a letter of support. It's their job to do what they need to do. They have to be checked and balanced by others. That's what we should be focusing. Let's put our egos aside, bring out some respect and common sense, and let's just have a good meeting.
All right. Thank you, Russell. If David, if I may, I just want to make a couple of comments quickly and it's more directed to the committee. And I also have one comment for Mr. Smith. Because I feel like I have a little bit of a unique perspective and I know that y'all are parents and stuff like that. But I was like one of the kids, like not that long ago in this system. I was one of those targeted kids. Like I wouldn't be here right now if I wasn't targeted, if you get what I mean. So I also was a special education student. So I see your concerns about the program and stuff like that, but sometimes a little bit of tough love does help. And also, this is more directed towards Mr. Smith. I get I'm sorry, I'm trying to like gather my thoughts because I know what I want to say, but I want to make sure I word it in the proper way.
You don't, I mean, I won't take offense. You can, you know what I
Oh,
mean?
no, I'm a very blunt person, but also I have
Okay.
to make sure that I word stuff
Okay.
properly
Yeah.
because I don't want to like make
Right.
stuff. Yeah. I I I see both sides of this, and I think a little bit of transparency on you're very transparent, but I think specifically when children enter programs, their parents want to, it doesn't have to be a straight up lesson plan, but they want to know what their kids are doing, what their kids are learning, what their kids are going to be doing when they go to this program. And I know, and that could be through the school giving it to the parents. It doesn't necessarily have to be you, but I think just a little bit of transparency would be nice. And I think that was the, I'm not trying to speak for people, but from what I understand, that was the main concern, the lack of really knowing exactly what takes place in the program, because it was very vague terms from my perspective. It was very vague. So I think that we're not, I know it got very heated, but me personally, I think your intention is very good. I know that it wasn't a bad intention, but I think, just like I said before, transparency is a very important thing because people want to know what their kids are doing in school.
Right.
So.
And if I may respond to that. So I've been participating in community boards, oh my God, probably for the last 20 years. I live in 10. I was born and raised in 11. And my program planted its seeds in Brownsville. Not one single time, Ms. Rodriguez, in the 20 years that I've been attending boards, even in person, have I ever heard a community board ask a program to give them a copy of the materials that they use in the classroom or in the community. Not one time have I ever seen this back and forth, but I have no challenges doing it because, and it doesn't bother me, because if I think that if more people got this treatment at the community board, it would trim a lot of the fluff and a lot of the foolishness that goes on in our communities. So I don't have a problem with it. I'm not going to give up proprietary information. Now, with that being said, I want to tap into what Mr. Russell said, because that was extremely valuable. No one, with the exception of the superintendent on your board, knows the mechanics that are involved with becoming a vendor and having staff that are approved to go into schools throughout the state of New York. Okay, we're talking about, I personally, 6 felonies, 16 years of prison in 3 different states. So if I have been given carte blanche to go into as many schools as I would like and do what I do, like and I want you guys to think about that and unpack that as you ask the questions, right? I think that is turning into like Mr. Schuler said, my personality is strong, so be it. You know why? Because I go after children that shoot other children. Specifically, I probably am, and I can say this, you guys can rebut it, but with regards to juvenile justice programs, I know the CEOs of all of the other programs. I promise you, with every fiber of my being, that I am the single absolute most transparent of every one of them that's out there. Please fact check. If you went to my website, you can see the syllabus. You click on any link, what the child will experience in class, what goes on in the class, the topics of discussion. So all this does is show me that individuals aren't doing their homework, Ms. Rodriguez. Each time I come to it, and it's not only CB11, it's other places that I go, if the information is there, and you choose not to go to secure it, you can't then say you're holding me accountable for not being transparent and giving it, because it's been on the website for 21 years. So
Dr. Guy, may I please? And I empathize right now. And I think, as Russell said, I don't think you need to keep substantiating or defending who you are. You are who you are. I think, and I have to say this, as the chair here, we pulled this and said we're going to wait a month, and that gave time for people to see the presentation and attend one of the functions. Also, it gave time for all of us to do the due diligence, as it just was communicated, that was the time to do our homework and not have the questions here. So maybe if we did look on the syllabus, maybe if we did do the investigation, that's our responsibility in representing the community, we might have some of the answers that we're looking for. So, you know, I don't want to reiterate what we did last month, because then we're not moving forward, right? We said we would take a month to review graphics program, interact in a presentation, and then come back. So, yeah. So it's at a point too where we can continue to go in circles. So I want to go, hold on, Ash. I want to go to Sage, and then we'll go to Isaac.
Just, okay,
Yes.
never mind.
No, go
No,
ahead.
no, it was real quick. It was just, my comment was more towards like for the parents who would enroll their kids in the program. So you actually did answer my question,
Right,
Mr.
but,
Smith.
but you know, I have to say this also in fairness too. Like DOE, I'm Children's Aid Society, and we have partnerships and vendors that we use through DYCD. In fact, I'm using somebody to get a vendor to do STEP, because it wouldn't take me 3-4 months to hire the person, because the vendor's already got the person approved and yada, yada, and move forward. So there are different ways and checks and balances. Now, I go to parents and say, we're starting STEP in the program. I don't go, we're starting STEP, bringing in a vendor and yada, 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 and this is who they are, unless parents ask. But I'm providing a vendor that's going to provide a service. And you know, I think we don't do this to everybody else that comes before us. So why are we at the point now where somebody is identifying to work or targeting to work? And you're right, Russell said it, and Dr. Smith said, all our contracts say, what youth are you targeting in getting this money? Which are the targeted youth that are for this program? So, you know, and this is, you know, again, we can get caught up in semantics. Like now they say bad is no longer good. Bad is bad. Semantics. It's how we identify things in a moment. Now, what we do have a choice, and I'll get to you now, Sage and Isaac, we have a choice. The man has come and asked for a letter of support for his company, his agency. We have a choice to either give it or not give it. But we don't need to continue to do this. Sage, and then Isaac. I know they got switched, but Sage, you have a few.
Yeah, I just want to say I really value what you've said, David, and I really liked what Russell said. I think it's important to support the mission, but I also think it's important for the committee to be cautious and to ask questions when we think that those questions matter. If it's something that might appear small, like a word, and possibly contradict other things that we do, if we often use the word targeting, but we are opposed to it here, I think there's value in that, because maybe this is a different context and it matters there. I also think semantics could be important in signaling to the rest of the community in this specific context what matters to us. And changing a word from targeting to identifying might be important to a kid in school who gets picked out for this program. I guess so that's just circling to my question. And I wanted to know, Mr. Smith, since you've gone to a lot of other community boards, how many other community boards have written you letters of support?
Everyone is in this phrase. I approached maybe a few last month, and I guess that's the standard process, to wait for a month in order to do the decision. But if you recall, and if you recall, and David chime in at any time now, you guys were almost ready to make the decision last time. I said, oh, I don't want anything given to me. Come see what we do. Come see it, right? And this is with every fiber of my being. There were quite a few of you guys on this call that were ready to pull the trigger and make the decision last month, just based on looking at my work and everything that I presented. Like I've seen some of you guys made a decision instantaneously on the program that came, the school that came and wanted the playground, because the kids did the presentation. And like, I watched these things. And so I said,
that's not, I have to defend that. Because we
okay,
already.
and I could be wrong, but I said, come and see the work.
Yes, you did.
So you know what I'm asking you to approve. And I just find it interesting, and I'm not, no longer defending David, but I just find it interesting that the people that came to see the work, give the work rave reviews, and the people that didn't come are still trying to poke holes in it and didn't even go to the website to get the questions answered that they're asking me. I find that very interesting.
So I say this because I am who I am as well. And I have a strong personality too. After last presentation, I want to reach out to you and just say, I think maybe this would work better with the group and understanding. But then I said, can't do that to you because I don't want to take away who you are or what your passion is. Now, again, for myself, I've learned to try to be a little better at using semantics so I'm not misunderstood. Because what I often find sometimes is, you could be in a room and three different people have a three different understanding and perception of what was said. So I like to reiterate things. I like to ask, do you understand? And then I like to try to find things that may not set off triggers. But I'll say this, sometimes the triggers do need to be set off. And I think in the work that you do in capturing youth to see the value of being part of this, because they, like you said, kids, if they don't want to be bothered with you, it's later. If you're not worth my time or what I think you may have for me, I'm bouncing, right? So when you take that look in your eye and you see that spark where that kid gets it, I know that feeling. I've been doing it for 43 years. And I know what it was when somebody looked in my eyes when they saw something in me that I finally got, right? So in reverse, it's about how we give back and take back. Nothing is ideal, right? And sometimes to clean up the dirt, you got to get dirty. And then we hope we can keep ourselves clean in the process. I'm not making a pun. I'm not making a pun with that.
No. What I was going to say, how do we get the beautiful flowers that we enjoy looking at? What goes into that dirt?
Yeah, the seeds, the work, the water.
Manure, right? So the beautiful flower, when you go to my website and you see the pictures of those beautiful flowers that are graduating from college, you go to the YouTube page and you see the children that are graduating from college and have put their guns down, and those are the beautiful flowers that came from me putting the manure in the dirt.
And that was something we had the last 30 days to observe. And if we had not, we failed to do our job. Isaac, go ahead, please.
Thank you very much, David. It's been very interesting listening to everybody speak. I won't take up too long. Everyone has said a lot of what I wanted to say. I think what I will say is that folks wonder why people don't want to come to the board, and why the board, the community board, doesn't have a good relationship with organizations. It's because of this. For reasons just like this. This man has come before us. He came before us, gave a full presentation. And as the chair of another committee, of the Human Services Committee, I would never treat any person or organization this way. He's come, presented fully last time. He even said what I was about to say. We were about to give him the letter last time. And then he said, stop, wait, come to it. After that, we have John Green get on and say, go ahead and give this man what he needs. And then Xavier also gives testimony. I want to bring us back to why he asked for the letter in the beginning. It was for him to be able to obtain funding from DOJ to scale his work further. And without saying too much, David, if it's okay, I would like to put a motion on the floor to support graphics to continue its work in East Harlem and in Harlem. And we can work out the language of that right now, however folks want to. But I would like to put a motion on the floor to support this program.
Hold that 1 second, Isaac.
And I would
Yep.
second it. I would second it.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Rosa Diaz did actually put a motion earlier that has to be addressed first before you address Isaac's motion. Just for point of order, I apologize.
No,
Okay.
Rosa asked
Sorry
if she could
about
put a
that.
motion. There was not a motion made, and it wasn't identified as a motion. Okay, Rosa asked, can I make a motion
Understood.
now to unaccept? The motion was not recognized. We continue to have discussion. Isaac, I'm gonna hold and table your motion for a minute, because that was the question. Ash, we'll go to you, and then Russell will go to you next.
No, I was just, no, it was about the motion. It's fine. Oh, wait.
No, don't wait, say it, because see, again, we're not gonna hold peace here. We're gonna
Oh,
move.
I
this
was gonna
in.
second it, David. It's fine. That's why I
Thank
said
you.
I'll wait.
So Russell,
I was gonna second it. That's all.
I will accept the motion both by Ash and Russell as the seconds. We are making a motion to write a letter of support. Isaac, do you want to kind of frame it right now? Because it's your motion, not mine.
Yes, can we make a motion to support graphics to continue its work in Community District 11, Community Board 11's district, however we want to say that. And we support its continued work. And, you know, I don't know how much more we need to put in that, but I would love to give a letter that will help him get funding. So we can add language like, you know, we hope to see more of this work scaled within our communities as a deterrent to violence in our community. You know, things that I would like to see stuff like that in the letter, because if that's the impact that's happening, less shootings, because the young people who would be doing that are being we can call it whatever we want to call it. They're being identified, you know. But I think we should put in there that we want to see this work scaled in our district.
Okay, so in short, a letter to support graphics.
David, we can't hear you really.
Yeah.
You're on mute now. David, you're on mute.
There's a motion by Isaac, second by both Russell and Natasha Rodriguez, Ash Rodriguez, to support graphics continued work in Community Board 11 and continued work to, what was that point, Isaac?
To be scaled within our community.
To be scaled within.
Yes, our community as a means for addressing, I don't know if we want to say gun violence in our community, something like that.
Yes, you know.
We recognize, I'm sorry, I don't want to,
Yeah,
you know,
no,
or to the extent that we recognize graphics. I don't know. I think what I just said was good. I don't want to start going there.
I think that's fine. I think, you know,
Yeah.
when we do write a letter, then we put the other kind of information that supports it.
Huh.
We also got a sample letter of what to us as an example of what he's interested, what he's looking for to support the growth of the work that he's doing. And that's, Xavier, do you want to say something before we take the vote?
Just general points make it very easy for myself and the staff to craft it in a way that flows. So general points, which you've already expressed here. So it just makes it easier. The kind of thing of like guide rails. And we've been doing better at that. So you don't have to necessarily wordsmith But it does like, little points, and then it allows for a flow and personalization approach.
Yeah,
But so these are good points, so thank you.
Yeah, Isaac also, before this meeting, if we were to support it, did also ask to help support, right, to help in writing the support letter. So
Yes.
we'll work on that as a draft if it is supported, and then send it to you. But we shouldn't talk about what we're going to do with something until we have it done. So let's do the vote and get it done. So we have a motion on the table to support graphics. Khalid, please read do the roll call. And again, people vote with your conscience and vote what you think is best for your community. And we are fine with that.
Okay, committee members, I'm assuming that oh, John Green, you're here. Oh, sorry. So perfect. Just marking this down. That means we're all here. Okay, committee members, I'll call you by your last name. And just a reminder, there are 10 total members, 6 votes are needed for a motion to pass. Rosa Diaz,
No.
Angela Donadell,
No.
David Giordano,
Yes.
John Green,
Aye.
Sage Mason,
No.
Claudia Perez, hello, Claudia. Okay, we'll get back to you. Asher Rodriguez,
Yes.
okay, sorry, just marking this down. Claudia, we're waiting on. Isaac Scott,
Yes.
Russell Schuler,
Yes.
Jason Wu. Jason? Okay, I just want to circle back real quick to Claudia Perez. Are you available to cast your vote? Okay, and Jason Wu, are you available to cast your vote? Okay, so seeing as they're not responding, we currently have 5 in favor, 3 against, and we're supposed to have a total of 10 members present. But without those 2 votes, it does make it a little bit difficult. Xavier, please, can you chime in, please?
Per Robert's Rules of Order, you have to have 6 affirmative votes from the motion on the table. If the motion does not have that, the motion does not carry.
Understood. Chairs, I don't know if you still would like to wait for Jason Wu and Claudia Perez to cast their votes.
We
It's-
have nothing else on the agenda. That's part of the problem.
Xavier, I was always thought we have Robert's Rules of Order to make quorum, but we don't have to have quorum to make votes because the people voted present, not voting.
So to clarify, you have to have whatever the quorum is. The quorum is to conduct business. Of that quorum, it is half plus 1. So we have how many members, Khalid?
There are
for
10
business.
total committee members.
Right.
So you would need 6 to carry any action items forward, 10 who are present. So, and this has been shared previously, you have 10, that half plus 1 would be 6. You've had 5 affirmative votes, 3 who either abstained or voted no. Ergo, and now we just dropped. But again, the motion was already brought forth. I think the reality is that you have to have plus 1. That was 6 at the roll call. That does not.
I know we operate.
So again, when you.
But I've never heard.
Sorry. Would you speak up? You're a little muffled, David. Would you speak up? Just.
I mean.
It's been that way. It's been that way.
No, it's fine. I will review the
Go on,
bylaws
go on,
tomorrow.
sir.
I mean, that's what we do when we're not sure about something. And my thing was, it's majority in the room, right? We still had quorum to conduct business, but we didn't and I could be wrong. Like, again, I could be wrong. Dr. Titus is what I'm saying.
So at the time, there were 10 members of the committee present. The
Right, that-
majority would be 6. So it'd be half. Go on, Khalid.
No,
and I want to update you all right now that it seems that Jason Wu and Claudia Perez are no longer with us, bringing us to a total.
Okay, so what is the current count?
It seems like it would bring us to a total of 8. Let me just double check.
My question is, if those 2 left, Xavier, if we retake the vote, will that technically be the half plus 1?
You would have to, so as the motion, again, I know it's pedantic, but this is why we have these provisos in place. At the point when the vote was taken, the motion did not carry, meaning it failed.
Yes, Claudia,
Yes.
I am so sorry.
This is-
I had to reboot my phone. I don't know what's going on, but I am in agreement for that letter to go out and support my vote.
Understood.
Okay.
Thank
So
you.
if for clarity, yeah, so hold on, everyone. For clarity, so there's no confusion in the recording for Robert's Rules of Order. I would appreciate if you would, for the record, that the motion didn't carry, just meet, so no one gets, as Angel says, gets it twisted. Just restate the motion, have it second, and then call the roll.
All right.
I'm ready when y'all are.
Okay, I think Xavier did. Oh, he's back. Okay. He did cut off a little bit. He dropped off, but he's back
Sorry,
with us.
yeah, I did. Yeah. I apologize. So again, we had people drop off. The motion did not carry at the point of roll call. I just ask you to the initial person calling for the motion, the person seconding, and then call the roll and make sure that we have at the beginning, Khalid, call what the total count of members of the committee are,
Of course.
so that we know what the total count is, and then we can determine the motion, whether it carries or not. That's all.
Understood. Okay, so I'll just confirm, of course, the members present, and then I can take the roll if you'd like for me to do that, or would you like for me to just do it all in one go?
The motion has to be repeated.
I would like you, the motion did not carry per the last roll count. So the motion has to be represented again. That is per Robert's Rules of Order. Whoever wants to present a motion, I'm not going to tell you what motion to present. It has to be represented. The previous one failed. Okay.
I'm ready when y'all are.
Does anyone have any other points of order they want to?
Nope. Isaac, you could go.
So Asher and David, who?
Isaac could go.
I'm ready. Would like to make a motion to support graphics, to provide them a letter of support, stating that we support their work in Community Board 11 and would like to see it expanded as a means for targeting gun violence in our community.
Russell,
I second it.
taken by Russell. Please call the roll, Khalid.
Will do. Okay, members, I will be calling your names for roll and of course confirming your vote as well. Rosa Diaz.
No.
Okay, so you're present and no. Thank you. Angela Donadell.
No.
Present and no. Thank you very much. David Giordano.
Yes.
Thank you. John Green.
Aye.
Thank you. Sage Mason.
No.
Thank you. Claudia Perez.
Yes, in support.
Yes, thank you very much. Asher Rodriguez.
Yes.
Thank you. Isaac Scott.
Yes.
Thank you. Russell Schuler.
Yes.
Thank you. Jason Wu. Okay, absent. So you have 10, excuse me, you have 9 total members present, and we have 6 votes in favor, 3 voting against. The motion carries.
Thank you all. I really appreciate, more than may seem at times, the dialogue that we've had, that we do raise certain issues and not just accept what somebody may say. To what degree we challenge people, I hope we all make sure we do our homework and we come with facts. But again, the point of all of this is to make sure that we're collectively making a healthy choice for our community and what's best for our community. I'm sorry that unfortunately certain things were very touchy, but that should not us continue to do the work. I also want to say that I do need to follow up and check the bylaws, because if I'm confused on something or not sure about something, or I have a different understanding of something, I need to correct that in myself. So I'm not saying anybody is wrong. I just had a different understanding of what majority meant. I know in the CEC, we operate that way with quorum, but I know we've also had meetings and people have left and not vote. And I'm wondering if we counted the votes the same way every time. So that's something I need to double check for myself. Dr. Kai, I look forward to your continued work in the community. I do hope we can work in identifying some of the youth that I work with that would benefit from the program that you provide. And I will definitely be speaking to the principal if he's interested in that opportunity at his school. While we may not always see things in the same light, you know, we all want to get to that top of that mountain together. Sometimes we have different sides of the mountain we climb up. We may have to get through heat on one side and cold on another, but that should not stop us from getting there. And again, I thank everybody for the time into this discussion to make sure that we make a healthy decision, or a collective healthy decision, whether you voted either way. Xavier, I see your hand up again. Do you want to add something? I'm sorry.
I either way, this will come before the full body, and I appreciate everyone's vociferous discussion. In no way, shape, or form should we look at anything that has been stated other than a way of living in. That is my recommendation or my suggestion. In either way, shape, or form, I want to thank you all for the discussion, the thoughtful discourse. And David, don't feel any sort of way. Robert's Rules of Order applies to every organization differently.
I had a different understanding, Xavier. That's all. That's
no,
all.
No.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally. And we could totally discuss it, chop it. Like everyone, I'm here as a resource, and it is so. I'm on the route to becoming a professional parliamentarian, and I miss Francis so deeply, who was one of our favorite ones when I first came onto the board. So it is a road less traveled. So don't worry about it. I'm here, and thank you everyone for the good work. I'm gonna go hug my family. Good night here down south. I can't wait to be back with you up north in our New York and making changes for our community. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all. Are there any last things anybody want to say? Any last piece? Dr. Smith, thank you so much for being with us. Again, I
There's
look forward to
2 hands
continued
up,
work.
David.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right. Well, Russell and
Multiple
Xavier, I
hands
think had, but Sage, yours is new, and Angela. Angela first. It's hard to see.
Yeah, I just want to.
Yeah.
I just want to thank Dr. Smith or Mr. Smith for his time and for indulging us tonight. I'm glad that the board reached this conclusion, regardless of how I voted, and I thought it was a productive discussion.
Thank you. Thank you, Angela. I'm sorry.
Yes, thank you, board, for the conversation. Mr. Smith, I wish you the best of luck.
Okay then. So Wait, David, do you
Without
want,
further ado, oh,
do you
just
have,
one last thing I forgot to mention during the announcements. Next Friday, the Environment and Open Space, in conjunction with some of us from the Youth and Education, will be at the Museum of the City of New York for Earth Day celebration. There will be some resources, some presentations, and please come out. It's all free.
there's gonna be
I'm gonna
some
enjoy
youth
it.
presentations also.
Yes, there will be 2 youth presentations. We're still working on them, but we'll have them ready for next week. So please come out. We're doing a special on plastics, and then we'll have an art kind of workshop on making really colorful things out of plastic bottles. So if you're not doing anything, please come out. And also on May 11th, and I'm going to send an invitation to all the strong women on our committee here to partake in Children's Aid Society's Empowering Women celebration that will be on May 11th. To Rosa, Angela, Dr. Christy Claudia as well. And it's all for women, not a man thing, it's women. And with a father of 5 daughters, yes, let's go women. So we definitely want y'all to be there as leaders in our community and the work that you're all done on so many different levels. And Dr. Smith, on the real side, I do want to talk to you about doing some work at our school next year.
Yeah, I mean, look, man, it's, as I said, the first time, and I say it, you've seen me in person. This thing is bigger than me, man, and I see this, I do this work, I see it, I see it in South Carolina, North Carolina. At 5 o'clock this morning, I'm pulling out to go to Columbus, Ohio, because there's some stuff going on there. Like, this thing is bigger than me, and I was gifted with the tools to be able to reach this population, David. And as I said, when you saw me at the school, I've never been in a gang a day in my life, but for some strange reason, those young adults would give me the utmost respect, as you've seen, right? And so I'm open to partnering. Listen, if my skin wasn't tough, I would be offended by things people have said throughout the course of the past 20 years. This thing is bigger than me. I say to kids, you're not going to die and you're not going to prison on my watch. And then I deliver. How many adults can you say that can honestly look a child in the face that's not biologically connected to them and say those words and then follow through? So I don't get offended. I don't get upset. People are entitled to their opinions. And, that's my board, and if anyone is interested in sitting on my board, send me an email. David, I specifically targeted people to put on my board that were fire starters, that would give me heat, that would give me smoke, because I don't want fluff. Because when you go into communities with fluff and the kids feel like you're the op, or they feel like you're something and your life is in danger. So as you've seen, when you sat through that program, I gave them the federal indictment, I gave them the state, like I covered all bases, right? And what you witnessed in that room, of the 25 most severely behaviorally students that school has, 2 weeks after a shooting, no teacher in that building was able to control that audience the way that I did. And you've seen it for yourself.
Well,
So
I would like to end with this. A lot of stuff we've been hearing that's going on in Tennessee for 2 young people that stood up for the very thing you're fighting for. And you know what? Our future of young people is worth fighting for. And we need more people to do the fighting. With that said, we need to end the meeting because we need to have a good time. So,
David, can I make an announcement?
yes, Angela,
Oh,
please.
just a reminder. I don't know if everybody is aware, but on April 21st in the Cantano Gardens, they're doing their Pura Belpre event. And as you know, last year, they named the street after her. So the library is sponsoring something else. I saw it. I said, let me just put it out there because that's in a week.
Very
Okay?
good. So
Bye.
we should also follow up with the SYEP ash and get it out to members.
Yes.
The information about Mount
yes,
Sinai.
yeah.
how you sound.
Yeah.
And thank you all. Khalid,
Good
thank you
night.
so much. Thank you so
I
much.
think we gotta take another roll. Hold up.
Do we have
Oh.
to do another roll?
Yeah, because if we don't
Okay.
have quorum, we can't end the meeting.
Oh, so basically I
Right?
should just get dinner, my pajamas and sit here because we ain't gonna have it. Have
We got
people
quorum.
going.
Let's go.
I can do the roll call and then if you'd like. Give me 1 second.
Yes.
Thanks, Khalid. Well, we
And
still
I
have a
almost
passionate,
left.
yeah, a passionate board.
I know.
Yeah, Rose.
I saw Rose's message. I was about to click. I'm like, wait, is she leaving?
Rose, I'm so
Like
glad the
goodbye.
meeting is next
I
week.
put in the chat good night because I'm thinking, okay, I'm done. But I'm like, wait a minute, let me just stay and be patient because I have like 10% of battery. So do the roll call.
You're on your phone, right? I see the small screen.
I was in another meeting with deputy,
computer,
only
yeah.
deputy, that the chancellor has, and I already sent out an email.
I'm gonna go downstairs and get my Dunkin' Donuts.
I can do the roll. Hi guys, I can do the roll call real quick and we can all go about our day. Okay,
Yeah.
Rosa Diaz,
Yeah, I mean, I'm here.
Angela Donadell,
Here I go.
David Giordano,
I'm here.
John Green,
Out.
Sage
out.
Mason,
In, soon to be out.
Okay.
Claudia Perez,
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Claudia.
Asher Rodriguez,
I'm somehow still here.
Isaac Scott,
Here, good night, everybody.
all right,
Isaac, I need
Russ-
your number. I don't have your number.
I'm here.
Okay,
Russell
I'm gonna
Stewart, okay.
email it to you, Dave. Sorry.
Okay, great, Isaac. I'll give you a call tomorrow.
Good
All right, and-
night, everybody.
Good
And
night.
Jason Wu was not here. Just to finalize that, you guys. Jason Wu, of course, is not present with us. But yes, that's it. Cheers.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Have a great night, everyone. Thanks, Khalid.
No problem. Have a good night, David. Good night.